Hello, salam, shalom, namaste, sat sri akal, aloha, hola, ciao, bonjour, buna, and privyat. It's very, very amazing to be back with you, and I'm very, very much looking forward to our episode today because I have a very special guest. It's Tina Lopez, who is the CEO of Tina Lopez Coaching. Welcome, Tina.
Welcome. I'm so happy to be here. I'm really excited and I'm so glad that we connected and that we're doing this conversation. We got a lot of great content to discuss today. I'm really excited.
Indeed, me too, me too. And before we dig into the content, will you just tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I am an online coach as well as an individual that you can talk to, ask questions. I would definitely say I'm someone who is in love with automation, which we will talk about today, and creating passive income. But I guess you can say the elevatory statement is, I help online entrepreneurs create systems for passive income through automation, delegation, and evergreen content. So if you are that individual who is like, I'm tired of, going that one shop service where it's one and done and you want to create passive revenue and you want to systematize that, then I'm definitely the person that can help you assist that. And we're going to get into this conversation in this series. So I'm really excited to dive in.
Awesome. I love the idea of automation and systems. I think that was one of the most important lessons I learned after I got into, doing business for myself. The idea that I don't want to be in a position where I'm having to trade my time for dollars all the time. I definitely want to be moving towards a business model where more and more things are automated and systemized and creating some passive income stream so we can have some time freedom and the business can be lifestyle friendly. I'm so excited that you'll be sharing more with us about how to make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially like I think everybody strives to have this goal of having a business run for itself, but not a lot of people actually know about it. A lot of people like to talk about it, but not a lot of people actually know how to do that. And I know we're not discussing this business, but I do have 3 businesses of myself. And so I'm very familiar with how to automate, delegate, create the content so it runs on its own. So I walk what I talk, and I'm here to share that with you guys. So, yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So tell us more. I think the first thing I would love to learn more about you from is this concept of evergreen content. What is that and why is it important?
Yeah. So a lot of entrepreneurs, they kind of run to this place in their marketing where there's just so many platforms. You're like, oh my goodness, there's Twitter, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's Snapchat. Snapchat's doing something with like the spotlight option as well. There's TikTok. There's a new platform called Family. It's like there's just so many platforms where you're just like, what do I focus on first? And what's going to give me the highest return on my time?
Mm,
And from a person who's quite literally done it all and is tired of doing it all, I've realized the importance of evergreen content. So if you're new to the term of what does evergreen mean? Evergreen means essentially like it's, available, it's pertinent, it's important, and can be useful throughout any point in time. So forget launch cycles where you're just like, oh, you can only talk about this content once and then you're done and then it just goes into an abyss, a black hole on social media. No, evergreen content is essentially where, it's relevant and it can be applied to be relevant at any point in time. It doesn't matter if it's Christmas, the holidays, Valentine's Day. So long as people are looking for, the keywords or the topics that you're talking about on, say, for example, Google, it's going to be important to you. And so here's how this benefits you. It benefits you simply because you only create content once. Forget the abyss and the black hole of social media of it can only be available for 24 hours. Like, let's not do that. Let's
yeah.
utilize our time first and foremost. And so it not only does that, but you don't have to repeat yourself. I remember a lot during my time when I was doing, my mini trainings for the day on Instagram or Facebook and things like that. And I was just repeating the same content over and over again. And I was just like, you know what? I'd rather just create an article and like if people ask me questions, just send it to you and be like, here you go. Right? And then come with me to your questions after you read my article after rather than me explaining myself, right? So it's a better use of your time. And it also allows you to focus on the things that are like what you truly love to do, right? And so there's another area in your business, at least you can know your marketing efforts are taken care of so that you can drive traffic, but also like do what you love, which is exactly what you're doing, right? So that's a little synopsis of it.
I love it. And I just had like one question pop into my mind as you were describing the nature of evergreen content. You mentioned the idea of you writing an article that you could just send to people to read first and then come to you to ask questions. Now, is that as a strategy something mm, that is most appropriate at a certain point of the marketing funnel, or can you like use it even at the very beginning? So what I mean is like, I've heard a lot of people talk about the idea of, first you have cold leads, then they become warm, then they become hot. And at different stages, you treat them differently. And, when they're cold, meaning like people still don't know you, they're just trying to get to know you, you have to put forth more effort in some ways to sort of allow them to get to know you and so forth. So from that perspective, this idea of, okay, I'll just send people to an article that they can read and then connect with me. Does that still work? Hey, thanks for tuning into this episode. Hope you're getting value out of it. For your information, this episode has been sponsored by the Happiness 101 program. Are you a change maker, coach, trainer, or healer? Are chains of fear holding you back from making the impact and income you desire? Using a unique combination of positive psychology and the spiritual wisdom of our most effective change makers, the Happiness 101 program helps you break through your limiting beliefs and manifest the abundance and success you desire with fun and ease. Interested? Book a free Happiness 101 exploration call with me, your happiness expert, Samia Bano. Just use my online calendar link in the show notes. Now, back to the show.
So I think it does. I also think in the belief of full transparency of like, I don't think it's necessary that you need to pay me to know me, right? I think, well, obviously, like I think everybody wants to get paid, things like that. But what I'm trying to say is that like it shouldn't cost you anything or an individual anything to get to know you, to
Uh,
understand what you're about, right? And so I'm all about creating free resources and providing like very great value, especially if it's topics that like I get all the time and like I get questions on. Like I'd rather just create an article and just like meet those needs, right?
oh,
But I'm also all about like, charging what you're worth and like not what you're worth, but like not in the sense of because a human is you can't put a price on a human, but what I'm trying to say is like the value of the services you
yeah,
provide. It's like
right.
absolutely amazing. But the thing is like I would say that in terms of you were mentioning a little bit about the stages and you have to put more effort as you go longer and down into that. I'm taking an approach personally of this is not the popular thing, but of being a lazy entrepreneur. I actually love being a lazy entrepreneur because what does this mean? This means I maximize my time with as little effort as possible. And if there's anyone that doesn't want to do that, you know, carry on your love away. I hope that it works well for you, right? But the thing is like you want in the beginning phases of entrepreneurship, you're putting a lot of time, energy, and effort, right? So why not just leverage that time and effort that you're doing it? So everything on the front in the beginning is taken care of. So then on the back, you don't have to work harder. You actually work
Yeah.
less. And so
Yeah.
I've noticed that people who are successful, they're working less hours. That's why you see popular books like the 4-Hour Work Week. Less hours is the goal. It's not more hours. Um, and that's just a little tidbit since we're kind of talking a little bit about that.
Yeah, oh my gosh. And you actually reminded me of something that I was learning while reading the book, The 4-Hour Work Week. And because yeah, my gosh. Okay, this is what I remember. So it's like if someone has questions and you say, okay, I'm just going to send them to this article, you actually have, I bet, systems set up where someone asks you a question and they get an automated response, but it's not like cold response where someone thinks like, oh, someone feels like she doesn't care
Mhm,
about me or some robot
mhm,
is answering
mhm,
me. It's like actually structured in a way where that person feels like, oh yeah, this person is listening to what I'm saying and responding to
mhm.
my question and giving me the
Yeah.
relevant answers back. So it's not a problem at all to do that.
Yeah, and I wanted to say a little bit, it's a common misconception that it's bad to use automations, it's bad to use bots and things like that. It's not bad. Like the tools itself are not bad. It's the intention that you use
Mhm.
that is bad. That, people become spammy and all those things that
Yeah,
you see, like it's a bad rep. But the thing at the end of the day is, when it comes to the free content and you reaching out to me or things like that, yeah, I will have an automation or something set in place so you can do it so it's accessible to your time,
yeah,
right? But I also want to I'll make myself accessible to your time, but I'm also going to have boundaries with my time as well, right?
right.
Because in order for me to show up in the best way and, make change fun and easy, like I need to really prioritize my mental health and my
Yeah,
sanity, right? So
right.
setting automations just allow you to make it accessible, but it's your boundaries that really make it,
Yeah.
I guess, fully integrated, if you will.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Oh, I could have a whole conversation with you about boundaries because that's one of my favorite subjects to think about, especially these days. But we won't get distracted.
Yeah.
Tell me more about evergreen content. So do you have any wisdom to share with us on how to make it happen at like a
Mhm.
practical level?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm here with all the ideas and all the strategies and systems. So evergreen content. Let's talk a little bit about what you should be focusing on.
Mm,
I'm not a big person of, oh, you need to be popular on Facebook and popular on Instagram, popular on TikTok. Like, I don't really care. I just care about how does this all work? You're putting this effort together in all these different platforms. How do you systematize it where you are maximizing your marketing reach with as little effort as possible,
mm,
right? And so the way that you do that is through platforms that are evergreenable, right? So when I say evergreenable, meaning it's always relevant and it can last more than 24 hours, right? So Instagram stories, not evergreenable. Facebook stories, not evergreenable. Um, Facebook lives, all these things. So as you can see, maybe there's nothing wrong with Facebook or Instagram. I just wanted to share that, but it may not be your best time in terms of the efforts you focus on first, right? Let's talk about what is evergreenable. TikTok is actually evergreenable because it has that share feature. People will constantly share it and things like that. So it has an option to go viral, right?
mm,
And Pinterest is an option because it's searchable. People can look at it. People can share it, right? Has an option to go viral. Blogs as well. People can search it up and it's shareable. Has to go viral, right? You kind of notice the elements and the things that I'm thinking about. It's
yeah.
searchable, shareable, and has the potential to go viral,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Um,
mm.
so what are the three platforms that you can get started with and use? You can use Pinterest, YouTube, and any type of blogging software. Or like, for example, if you want to blog on WordPress, I personally like to write on Medium because I don't know how to code honestly for shit. So like, I'm not going to do it. On Medium, it's easy. It's really quick, right? So you might be thinking to yourself, well, Tina, like, damn, that sounds like a lot of work. I gotta do YouTube, Pinterest, and a blog. No, 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 no. Let's backtrack here, right? Let's focus on one thing. So what I recommend personally as a strategy is let's take YouTube, for example. Let's see how we can maximize one video and create so much different content creations, right? So just a little bit of the steps on like what I like to do. I usually like to record my videos on Zoom. It's easy. All I need is a web camera. I don't need this fancy tech. Great. Think I paid like maybe like $100 for my webcam and it looks pretty clear. I mean, you can see me, so I hope it's clear. Um, but the thing is like you hook it up to Zoom and you can get like a transcription software. I'm not sure if Zoom actually does this, but there's this really great software called Otter.ai. Highly recommend it. And what it does is it automatically transcribes the words that you're saying, right?
Yeah.
So say, for example, you are doing a video and a train on whatever topic you're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can create the video content. You're all presentable, you look nice, things like that. You're having the transcription of that video. So what can we do with that transcription? We can create a blog. All we have to do is
Uh-huh.
copy and paste it, right?
Mhm.
Maximize time with the least amount of effort. That's one thing you can do, right? What can we do else with that video? We can create a podcast, right? Because we're taking the audio and we're just putting it on a podcast, Apple Podcasts or whatever platform, things like that. So do you see how one thing can create so many different options for content? So rather than you sitting behind Canva for 24 hours, like trying to figure out all these templates and all these things, it's not worth the time,
Yeah.
right? And so what that does is you have one YouTube video. You create the transcription and just post it on blog. Maybe you want to do it on Medium, right? And then maybe you want to do an audio. Okay, you can send that out to an audio. And then let's just say you're like, well, I got two out of the three things. What is Pinterest? What do I do with Pinterest? How does that work? Well, here's the great thing because you have your automations person, I'm not going to call myself a guru because I don't like that, the person here, there is a really great platform that I recommend. It's called glitterly.app. Really great software, really great service. But basically what it does is, say for example, you want to input something, you can connect it to a platform like Zapier, and this may sound very complicated. Feel free to connect with me. And I have like an interest form in the show notes that you can like, if you want to know more information on how to do this. But basically a rough overview is you could connect your, say for example, your title and maybe the subtitle of the content you're speaking of, and you have a template on Glitterly for the image you're going to create.
Mm.
What Zapier does is it connects these two platforms. So the trigger is going to be when, for example, a new record of the title comes in, it automatically creates the Canva template, or not Canva, but the graphic template for you
Mm.
in less than a minute. You do not have to do anything. And here's what else you can do. You can repurpose that. And with Zapier, I love Zapier if you haven't noticed, you can automate that to publish on Instagram. And all of this can be done within less
Yeah.
than a minute. So
Nice.
do you see how one video creates so many different
Yes.
content elements and assets? Let's utilize our time to the best of our ability. So that's a lot, but
Indeed.
that's what.
Indeed. No, no, it's fabulous. I actually had heard of Zapier, but in a very different context. And at that time, I must say, because I'm not a tech person at all,
Mhm.
I sort of, when I try to utilize it myself, I struggle with it. But that's the thing. It's like, you don't have to do what you're not good at. Don't do what you're not good at. Get some help and support.
Yes, absolutely. The amount of times that I've reached out to support,
Oh,
I feel like there's a couple of good things that you pick up as skills as an entrepreneur. Obviously, you know you're Zen genius, but you also know how to talk to customer support. Because I feel like that's
indeed.
a lot of the time. Um, but at the end of the day, right? Like let's not overcomplicate things. Let's not overcomplicate your marketing efforts. It's just, you see, like you just saw that example of one video can create so many different content assets and you expand it through the use of automation platforms like Zapier and things like that. It might be called Zapier, but I call it Zapier. Um, and it's already done for you. And this is a system.
Mm,
So what I implore you to do is think about two things. Think about, okay, how can I systematize this? Where there's a system set in place and I can just give it to someone else and they
yeah.
know exactly what I'm looking at. They know exactly what I'm doing, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is thinking about what is worth my time, right? This is the deeper question. A lot of
Mm,
people, they get to the point where, you know, I'm in a different phase maybe, but I'm at a point personally in my business where I have a lot of time and I purposely set it the way because I've created systems, I have teams behind me, and this is not to brag whatsoever. This is something that you can reach for, that you can look up to getting. This is meant to empower you when I share this story.
yes.
But if you need a little bit of insight of the challenges that I'm having now, some of the challenges I'm having now is what the heck do I do with my time, right? Because you've been working so much on this business where you're just like, you're used to working.
Yeah.
And I think when you have a system set in place behind you in your business for content creation, I know in the next series, we're going to talk a little bit about how to link that all together.
Mhm.
But when you have a system in place, you get your time back. And that's more important. What I do with my time is, I walk outside. I take a pole dancing class. I go dance outside. I have fun. Like people forget how to have fun in your business
Yeah.
and having a
Mm.
system is what's going to allow you to get your time back and have fun. So have fun, truly.
Exactly. And the systems also make things so much easier once you have an awesome system, because you can have a terrible system and you actually
Hmm.
might have a terrible system right now that you are stuck in. So you have to first of all
Hmm.
make sure the system works, that the system is
Hmm.
optimized to create ease and
Yeah.
optimized to create fun.
Hmm.
Awesome. And I just had one question that was popping in my mind as you were talking about using some of these sort of automated ways of creating content. So for example, using the service for creating a transcription out of your video. Um, I've tried a few of those services. For that matter, even YouTube will 90% of the time generate automated transcriptions for your videos. But there are mistakes in those
Hmm.
automated transcriptions. How much time and effort is it wise or smart to put into just sort of, looking through, correcting errors, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so I guess the first question that I'll ask you is, do you really want to spend your time doing that? Right? And the reason why I say that is this kind of goes into the next level of being a CEO, right?
Mm,
Let me tell you very honestly, I've worked with entrepreneurs who are very high up. I'm talking about like a seven-figure, eight-figure mark, right? And they don't do anything else that's not in their zone of genius, right?
right.
So if you don't want to do it, don't do it. Hire someone on Upwork, Fiverr,
Yeah.
or whatever other platform you do
Yeah.
and do that. And you may be at a point where you're like, Tina, like, I'm not even at that point financially where I can do that. Totally
Yeah.
understand. You might be pleasantly surprised. It actually may not cost as much as you think, A, but also like create an opportunity where if you're at a place where I can't financially do it, then maybe you could do a trade. What's your zone of genius? And if this is your zone of genius and someone needs that zone of genius and is in a similar financial position where they're not able to do that, say, hey, I may need some help with this. Can we like trade or something like that? I know I've done it in the very beginning of my business. I don't do it really
Yeah.
as often at this point in time, but like there is always a way to just
For sure.
focus on
For
genius.
sure. But is it worth it to make those tweaks to the auto-generated content is my bigger question, because like for
Hmm.
example, I have stopped pretty much doing intense reviews. I was spending hours doing intense reviews of
Hmm.
the auto-generated transcripts. And I just had to stop that, because you're so right. Like you have to at some point ask yourself, do I really want to do this? Is it worth doing it? Now I have a
Mhm,
VA who's a wonderful VA, and
mhm,
she looks through the automated transcriptions. She does her corrections. They're like over 90% accurate. I'm like, that's good enough. Let's put it out there, you know.
mhm.
But like personally, like for me, when I saw the automated transcriptions without having a human eye doing corrections over them, I was like, I didn't feel comfortable. Like I was like, what does it say about my brand to put something out there that has a lot of mistakes, you know?
Well, the thing is that you can use both. I really love that you have like a VA do that. Definitely have that. And and think about it. I want to be very transparent saying having a system doesn't mean it's completely all like by computer and by software. Having a system also means you have team members take care of the things
Yeah.
that you can't. Because unfortunately I
Yes.
can't. If I could, I would, but I can't. But also like there's this really, I think it's not Grammarly, but Pro Writing Aid. I think that's what it's called.
Mm,
I have to double check, but I really love that. You know why? Because I think the software is just like a one-time fee as opposed to a monthly
mhm.
service. And it's a lifetime thing, or at least at this point in time of recording when I got it. And essentially what it does is like you can say, for example, if you want to load the transcription to Google Docs, it
Mhm.
has a Google Docs integration and you just click the button of, hey, per writing aid, do it. And it will automatically scan through your document
Yes.
and notice all the grammar mistakes and give you suggestions on what to
Yes.
do. And you
Yes.
just click the suggestions and
Right.
then you're done. Yeah,
Yes. We actually
that's
do
it.
that. We actually do that. That is awesome. I love it. I just, I was just wondering in your professional experience if it was even worth the time to do that because I have heard some people who are like, no, it doesn't matter, but I couldn't. That didn't sound right to me. I was just curious about your perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is like my perspective and opinion is not above your own, right? And
Yeah,
so what may work well for me may not work well for you. And I totally
indeed.
respect that.
Indeed. And, we do the best we can with what we have. And, like, for example, if I didn't have my VA there to help me, and, I would have just stopped the reviews
Hmm.
entirely because it was just such a time suck for me. And I have, as the head of my business, as my company, there are so many other things that I have to do that are so much more needed and more valuable and that no one else can do, And so for sure, I take your point very well about thinking carefully about where to invest your time.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Cool. Any last thoughts or words that you would love to share with us about evergreen funnels?
Yeah, so I think when it comes to this, when it comes to evergreen content, evergreen funnels, like you'll meet a lot of people who are experts in it. You may meet individuals who are better than me. That's completely fine. Choose the individual that you want to work with. And if you decide you're like, hey, I love what you talked about, Tina, that's great. But at the
Mhm.
end of the day, here's the thing that's most important. After when it comes to either investing in coaches or investing in programs, choose a business that you want to model, right? A lot of people in this industry talk about, hey, I'm going to teach you how to do XYZ. But if you notice and you speak to those individuals and they're living a lifestyle that you don't want to live where they're probably, answering their emails on the weekends or
Mhm.
they're working 24 by 7 or they don't have a team behind them and they're doing all this by themselves. Like that might not be the thing that you want to do, right? And so evergreen funnels and evergreen content, I could talk all day about the strategy. That's my zone of genius. I fucking love talking about that, right? But, you know, it's important for you to decide, what are you going to do with that time? Because the whole
Mhm.
goal behind this, what evergreen is to give you more time
Yeah.
and ask yourself, what am I investing my time in? Because that's the one thing we cannot get back.
No.
So why are we wasting so much of our time on shit we don't want to do? Why are we wasting so much of our time on marketing efforts that just are one and done. Like, let's not do it anymore, right? So
Uh,
I am for you more than anything to think about your time. Um, and that's what I wanted to share with you.
Thank you so much, Tina. That was like really, really helpful and informative. And for sure, to you, our listener, please make sure you check the show notes because we're adding all of Tina's links in there so you can connect with her. And I do hope you will. And go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, so one thing I wanted to share with you guys, just as resources to help you out, I do have an online entrepreneurs community. So if you're an individual who's like, Tina, this is just so much. Like, I just need a community. I need trainings. I need exclusive content, and I need to be free. I got you. So we have a really great online entrepreneurs community where you can sign up. And basically what this does is once when you sign up, you automatically get the option to submit your bio to our online database of our network of entrepreneurs. And you get my emails and say, for example, you're like, Tina, I need someone in marketing. And I'll look in through our database and I will connect you through two people. So it's like the LinkedIn version specifically for online entrepreneurs in this community. But
Right.
you'll also get great opportunities to reach other people. And check me out on my blog on Medium for really great resources. More than likely, I'm just going to send them your way. And one last thing that I wanted to share with you as well is if you're interested in learning more about funnels and how to create content and automation, things like that, I do have an interest form just to gather a poll of interest to see if people actually really want to do that. So I would love to hear your thoughts. That's it.
Yay! Woohoo. And we'll add all of those links in the show notes. So for sure, people, check out those links in the show notes. And until we connect next time, I just wish you lots and lots of peace and joy.